summer, bringing that classic summer storm pattern. We're on your side with where we'll likely see rain this weekend and how long it's going to stick around.
And as May comes to a close, we take a look back on the severe weather across the country this past month and how it broke records.
Plus, as we head into the Atlantic hurricane season, we talk about NASA's newest mission that can help with forecasting tropical systems.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
And can you believe it already? We're talking about the start of hurricane season coming up.
It came around so fast.
You know, if you don't watch it, it's always right around the corner with spring severe weather season. And so less than 48 hours, y'all.
Yeah, less than 48 hours, and we're also kicking off the month of June with scattered thunderstorms in the forecast. So we're going to be talking about that right now. It's the next big thing. There's a little bit of rain showing up out there right now. A couple of showers that were showing up earlier today. If you checked in, Lauren was tracking that wet weather down into the southwest part of the area, but a little shower now. I'll zoom in over Tuscaloosa. You see it right here north of Brookwood. A little shower here north of Abernat. So we are seeing a couple of pop-ups. Again, you can see how this is more focused back to the west and southwest, and that's where we're going to see a lot of the rain, but some of this trying to sneak into Jefferson County. Birmingham's back in here. This is north of Lakeview, so our friends around Lakeview, a little shower there just in north of us. So if you do encounter a little bit of rain, somebody out there is getting it right now in Tuscaloosa County. But look at this to the west, nothing like what we're seeing back in here. Once again, I mean, this is a second day with another large complex of storms rolling through parts of Texas, severe thunderstorm warnings. A lot of this is going to be more oriented back to the west of us. Now, we still could see this kick off a shower or two and maybe even an isolated thunderstorm back to the west. So we can't rule that out. It's almost like we have a boundary across the state because it's very soupy the further west you go. It's drier the further east and northeast you go, and that's kind of the focal point. You see right in here we have those rain chances through tonight. So we could see a little bit of wet weather out there through the overnight and into tomorrow morning, keeping that rain chance in the forecast. And then tomorrow afternoon and evening, we could see more scattered showers and thunderstorms pop up. But that's the nature of this time of the year when you have these hit or miss storms. It's raining in the front yard, sun shines in the backyard, and that's the kind of thing we got to watch out for this weekend. Now, the thing about Saturday and Sunday, we do have weekend storms in the forecast. We could actually see some rain during the morning and the afternoon. So it's not just scattered areas of rain only in the afternoon. We're going to have to watch the morning as well, and feeling more humid. But those rain chances carry over into next week. In fact, we could see a cold front next week. We'll talk about that long-range forecast coming up on Weather Extra.
Well, as we close out the month of May, the severe weather season has made the month the second most active for tornadoes, hail, and damaging winds. This is only behind May 2011. The Storm Prediction Center reporting they received nearly 5,700 reports of tornadoes, including 475 tornadoes just this month. An average May only producing up to 300 tornadoes. For perspective, Iowa leading the country with the most tornadic activity this year. And as we continue to clean up from the Memorial Day storms in our area, there are some things to consider before hiring someone to fix your home. Birmingham Better Business Bureau President Carl Bates says calling your insurance is the first step you should take if you have storm damage. Next, you want to check on any permits you are going to need before starting work. This is when you'll need to be cautious of people who knock at your door. If the estimate seems too low, it may be too good to be true. Bates also says they've already seen people coming into town and taking advantage of the damage to the storms from just a few days ago.
A lot of these folks that come in that do this are like I say, only there till the next storm comes and they move on. So if there is a problem later on, you're not going to be able to call them and have them come fix it. And that's the key to it, is check these people out. Use bbb.org. It's a free service.
Bates says you also want to make sure you use a credit card for transactions as a means of additional protection in case of fraud.
And the Atlantic hurricane season is set to begin this Saturday. And on this week's Degree of Science, Brady Taylor takes us on a look at the new NASA mission that will allow meteorologists to see changes in hurricanes a lot faster.
So, Dr. Blackwell, I love all the acronyms that NASA comes up with. What does TROPICS stand for?
Yeah, that's a long one. It's a time resolved observation of precipitation structure and storm intensity with a constellation of small sats.
So how much time
It's a
did it
mouthful.
take y'all to come up with one that fit a kind of a weathered sound?
It was hard. We did spend quite a bit of time trying to capture all the things that the mission does. There's quite a bit of new innovation here, and tie it to the acronym actually ties back to the weather we're trying to study.
So what is the ultimate goal of the Tropics mission?
What we don't get today with our state-of-the-art weather satellites flying microwave sensors is revisit rate. So we have only a very small handful of these giant satellites that orbit in polar orbits. Every 12 hours, they revisit a point on the ground. We have a few of these satellites. We have to wait on the order of 4 to 6 hours before the next satellite flies over and images a storm. So with Tropics, we wanted to reduce the complexity and the cost of the sensors, make them smaller, easier to build and launch more of them. So we have a constellation of 4 satellites, and these make much more frequent revisits of the storm. So now we're getting storm observations on the order of 1 hour with a median revisit. So it's a much faster revisit. So with Tropics, we're looking at the storm environment, the temperature and the amount of moisture in the air surrounding the storm. And we want to see how that changes as the storm spins up and intensifies. And we want to measure the precipitation and the rain bands of the storm, looking at the structure, the asymmetries, the eye wall structure, and to capture all those things with very high revisit rates.
When most people think of satellites, they're thinking of these huge things up in space. Y'all's constellation, they're all pretty small, right?
They are. They're about the size of a loaf of bread. The traditional satellites are about the size of a school bus. So our satellites are about 10 pounds, and the actual instrument in the satellite is about the size of your coffee cup. So we've miniaturized what we call the radiometer. That's the instrument that makes the measurement, and enabled it to fly on a very small satellite, and that drives down the cost of launching them.
And this is also a great time to talk about the importance of staying safe this summer and spotting weather misinformation that you could possibly see online. While NOAA and the National Weather Service are predicting an above normal season, we here on the First Alert Weather Team want to keep you safe and informed. This time of the year typically brings out sensationalized forecasts on social media, which show models tracking a hurricane's landfall several days or weeks out. But as we always say, the farther out a forecast model is, the less reliable it is. Meteorologist Lauren Linehan advises to stick with a trusted source versus what you see on social media.
If people are just posting random model runs that show the worst case scenario, that's not responsible science communication. So if you go with one of those trusted sources, you can better plan how you will react if there is a tropical system in your area.
So be sure to stay tuned for your weather updates from the First Alert Weather Team as we head into hurricane season. But in 30 seconds, we take a quick look at your forecast and bring you the exciting details behind this week's upcoming Alabaster City Fest. We'll be right back.
Just go ahead and count to 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Check, check, check.
Welcome back to Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. It's been pretty quiet for a lot of us today, but we were tracking earlier some showers in west central Alabama. And we actually have one lone little pop-up shower that has managed to pop up again in Tuscaloosa County. So let's zoom in on where some of those spots are that could be seeing some brief downpours. You can see closer to Birchfield and Bull City, just to the east of the Black Warrior River. We have a little bit of a heavier downpour there. And then also getting out of Tuscaloosa County into areas just to the south of Mud Creek and Ezra, south of Toadvine. We've got one little shower closer to Weller. So that's about it. And we did say, hey, isolated coverage for tonight. One reason the coverage has been so isolated today, we've had some drier air in place thanks to a little cool front that came through. But as we go forward in time here, that humid air is going to win out again. As we get towards the weekend, a first alert for mugginess increasing. We'll look more at that weekend forecast in just a bit.
All right, Mud Creek and Toad Vine. See, we got you covered there. Hey, coming up on this weekend, this is an exciting time of year. Every time we get into the summertime and the weather warming up, I know it's time for Alabaster City Fest.
That's right, yep.
Jamie Cole from the Alabaster City Council joining us right now. And Jamie, you're a big part of this. You guys do an incredible job putting this event on. And of course, we're always there and get to join in the fun with you guys. And a big lineup this year.
Yeah, this is our 22nd time to do this. It's not quite our 22nd year. We had that thing that happened a couple of years ago. We had to take some time off, if you remember,
right?
That we don't talk about anymore.
Yeah.
But this is a great musical lineup. But the great thing about City Fest is that it's more than just music. So the gates open at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. We've got vendors there all day. We've got food there all day, kids rides all day. The music starts on the main stage around 1 o'clock. And we'll go until about 11 o'clock. So just a full day of activities.
Now look, this guy's a great musician. Now I've heard you perform last year. You guys did a great job. Listen, you know, this is just another example of some of the great community events we have throughout West Central, East Alabama. And it happens there at Thompson High School.
Right.
And it's easy accessibility. That's one thing I love about it. It's just so easy to get in and get out of there.
Yeah, easy to park, easy to find. Thompson's right there in the middle of Alabaster, and it's 100% free. I mean, that's the great thing. There's no admission, so all of this music, parking is free. Do bring some money so that you can support our vendors and support our food trucks and things like that. But there's no admission to the show, and it's going to be a really great show this year.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the weather, because I know you guys have had a situation before where we had storms, and just talk about, you know, how you guys handled that last time and the measures and plans that are in place.
Yeah, so we'll just delay and keep the artists on hand. A few years back, we did have a passing rainstorm that went through, and our headliner, instead of going on at 9 o'clock, went on at 10:30, something like that. So if you can wait out the storm, you know, obviously be safe. But we'll be around, and we'll keep the artists around as long as we can to keep the show going.
Well, I always tell people, you know, if there is a threat of lightning, and listen, this goes for if you're at a baseball game, if you're out at the pool, you know, if you can go to your car, as long as you have a hard top on the car, it is a great place to be, you know, in a lightning situation, and that can protect you. So, you know, just go to the vehicle and just wait until the storm, you know, if it's a concert or whatever you're going to this time of the year. That's a good, you know, subject to talk about, you know, since we're addressing possibility of storms for the weekend. But once again, I want to put the times on the screen for folks there and just show you when the gates open, and just tell us a little more, Jamie, about what folks can expect for the morning and then when the music begins.
Yeah, the morning is all about, you know, come out, do some shopping with the vendors, have some food, have some fun with the kids. The music starts at 1 o'clock. We've got great local and regional artists all through the afternoon. At 6 o'clock, one of our favorites, I know one of you guys' favorites, Michael Warren, is going to play and kind of open for the national acts that start at 7 o'clock. I'm really excited about the 7 o'clock act. I saw Tennille Towns a few years back open for Stevie Nicks. She's been on the road with Martina McBride, with Reba McEntire. She always puts on an amazing show. Then 9 o'clock is Scotty McCreery. Yeah. We had Scotty about 10 years ago when he was fresh off American Idol. Now he's an inductee into the Grand Ole Opry.
Wow.
He's had an incredible year. He's got a brand new album out. So you'll hear a lot of old favorites from him, and then some of his new stuff that just came out.
Well, and there will be a couple of meteorologists around helping to watch the weather there too.
Absolutely.
So.
And look, we're glad to have you guys involved. I mean, without our title sponsors, Central State Bank, Coca-Cola, without our media partners, we couldn't keep this free for everybody. So it's really important, and we're glad to have you guys on board again.
And well, we're glad to be a part of it. So we'll see you out there Saturday, Alabaster City Fest. We'll be back with more. We're going to be talking about those weekend rain chances and what's on the way for next week as we continue right here on Weather Extra. All right. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. If you're trying to find a way to beat the heat this summer, why not curl up with a good book, or even better, a cool cat? I went to the Public Library of Anniston, Calhoun County to do just that, where I met an inspirational and well-read feline whose story has resonated not just with Alabama, but the literary world at large.
Dewey the library cat, whose name is an ode to the Dewey Decimal System, is living his best life nestled between the book stacks. But his story didn't have such a privileged start. Initially coming into the library's care when a patron found a sick kitten in a bush outside last November.
He was scraggledy, flea-infested, eye-infected, malnourished kitten. And my first impression was this cat's not going to live, or if it does live, it's going to be blind because his eyes were so infected.
Multiple health scares plagued Dewey's early life, from lungworms to FIV, the latter which ultimately convinced the library to permanently adopt Dewey. And his poor health meant vet bills were piling up. Teresa Kaiser, the director of the library, says they were concerned how they could afford to keep Dewey alive.
I just happened to post on Facebook about, he had been sick, gone to the emergency vet. We aren't sure what's wrong with him. And the next thing I know, we have donations just pouring in. By the next morning, we had doubled the amount of his bill.
Dewey is not guaranteed to have FIV for the rest of his life, but for now, he's managing the disease and finding purpose in serving as an ambassador for the library, giving back to the community who rallied around him, one that extends well beyond Anniston and Calhoun County.
We have had people make donations from Virginia, Washington State, Texas, Tennessee. We had a woman and her son drive all the way up on a weekend just to visit Dewey from Florida. We had a visitor come from New York City.
Though Dewey wouldn't consider himself an influencer, he still leaves a mark with his digital paw.
He makes a post every night on Facebook to bring people up to date on what he's done with the day. And people follow that, and they appreciate the fact that something is being posted that's uplifting, that they can get behind, that they can enjoy.
For those who want a chance to meet the cat behind the keyboard, he's always happy to say hello to his...
He has visitors who stop by here almost daily to see him. After story time upstairs in the auditorium, the kids will come down the hallway and we'll take them out into the hallway so they can pet him and say hello to him. And Dewey usually has a little gift of a sucker or something for them for the day.
Dewey and the staff of the library recently won the Alabama Library Association's Humanitarian Award. But fame hasn't gotten to Dewey's head just yet. He still has some more goals to accomplish first, soon turning the page on a new chapter.
Dewey is writing his own book, and it should be published sometime midsummer if we can get him working on it just a little bit harder. He's just spending way too much time sleeping these days.
But if there's anyone who deserves a life of endless cat naps, it's Dewey, safe and sound in his forever home.
Well, Teresa Kaiser had one final critical piece of advice: spay and neuter your pets. If you want to send donations to Dewey or just buy some Dewey merch, we have more information on our website, WBRC.com.
All right, great story there, Lauren. And as we check out the view right now from Bessemer, we're seeing lots of sunshine right now, still a mostly clear sky. And looking at the setup further to the west, though, there's a couple of isolated showers. You go into Tuscaloosa County, there's a couple little pop-ups here. They're struggling to hold together. Looks like one little downpour here not far from Lakeview there to the north of Highway 216 north of Abernat. And that's moving in close to Bull City and the Weller areas there in the parts of Jefferson County. But just couple tiny showers. That's it right now. I mean, we're not seeing a lot out there. Most of us will stay dry for this evening and still feeling pretty good across areas to the north and to the east there. You can see around center there showing 59 degrees there through the 2 a.m. hour overnight. We'll see some 50s again for areas to the north. But let's talk about tomorrow morning. For most of us, a dry start. I still think to the west here, places from Hamilton down to Utah, Demopolis, we still could see an isolated shower or storm early in the day to the far west. Some of this rain is just too close there. Some of that may sneak in. And then as we go into the daytime, still some nice breaks. And then notice by the afternoon, we could see some more scattered development. Where? these areas back to the west. So if you are around Anniston, Ashland, Talladega, Pell City, even Birmingham and Alabaster, Coleman, plan on watering. And Jasper, Double Springs areas, not seeing a lot of rainfall either. So I'd still plan to water the garden for tomorrow. Not a lot of rain. And then Saturday, notice how we still have some nice breaks out there. You can see by 7 a.m. Shelby County showing 67 degrees, but we do have a scattering of rain throughout the day off and on. Notice as we really heat up, though, look at that lunchtime into the afternoon. Chance we could see some of those storms. And listen, to Saturday and Sunday is going to be a similar setup. Any of these storms that pop up over the weekend, some of those could go severe. So we'll have to keep an eye out for a strong to severe storm. That possibility is just always there. Not a major risk, but can't rule that out. Notice as we go beyond Friday, that humid air really starts to build in here. That mugginess comes back. That's going to help to fuel those storms, and also it's going to drive up that heat index as well as we go into next week. And that's when we're going to see more scattered storms. Look at Monday there, and also as we head on into the Tuesday, Wednesday time frame, some afternoon storms. But notice to the north, you see that cold front there? That's what we're going to be watching next week. And I just want to give you the first alert. I'm seeing some signals here as this moves south. As those temperatures rise, we could see some stronger thunderstorms as we go into the mid portion of next week. Maybe something more organized we'll need to keep an eye on. So we have those rain chances. That's going to be staying with us there as we go through the start of next week. And also, if we can stay on the graphics, I want to show you this one here that I made that shows when you can expect the space station flyover. And it looks like tonight at 8:50, if you missed it the couple nights ago, you can see here we have a ISS flyover at 8:50. I think the clouds are going to clear, at least for most of us, partly cloudy, visible for 6 minutes. It's going to be much higher in the sky, so you'll have a much better chance where to look. Look to the northwest, but let us know if you see it. You can find us on social media. Share those photos. We actually had some photos people were able to capture it. I haven't been able to capture a good picture. I mean, people wonder what it looks like. It's almost like a moving star moving at about
like a
the
little
speed
white
of a
dot.
plane.
Yeah. And people are always wondering what it is, so I'm so glad we can answer a lot of your questions on that. If you're wondering what that little moving white dot is in the sky, it's going to be that space station flying over our area. But once again, that's at 8:50, so you have some time. Get outside, take your kids. It should be great sky conditions for most areas to get a good view of that. But looking 6 to 10 days out from now, beyond the 7-day, June 5th through June 9th across the U.S., we should see a mixture as far as how hot we're going to be. But notice, majority of the U.S. going to be dealing with above average temperatures, and that includes us across central Alabama. And as far as our 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook, we're going to be seeing closer to average, but that doesn't mean we can't see scattered showers and storms in the forecast. We'll be right back, though. You're watching First Alert Weather Extra.
First weekend of June bringing storms. We'll talk about those chances tonight.
Have a good evening.